Golf Central. Brought to you by TaylorMade.
It will forever live on as the last 18-hole playoff in U.S. Open history for good measure. Tiger Woods and Rocco Mediate went a 19th hole that Monday 10 years ago at Torrey Pines, with Woods capturing major number 14 in a 91-hole marathon at the 2008 U.S. Open. But now, that's a thing of the past. 18-hole Monday playoff in the U.S. Open. Folks, that is old news. Hey there, I'm George Savarikis. This is Golf Central. The USGA dropping a bit of a stunner today, announcing a new 2-hole aggregate playoff will be the format for the U.S. Open, as well as 3 other USGA championships going forward. For more on the format change, which will be in place for the 2018 U.S. Open at Shinnecock Hills, we welcome in USGA Executive Director Mike Davis. And Mike, thanks for taking the time to chat with us on the phone. What was the thought process behind this decision?
Well, George, good to be with you. And yes, that Tiger Rocco 18-hole playoff in 2008, that was a great one to finish on. George, I think this was all about the USGA looking at this, talking to all the key stakeholders. And that was the players, both present and past. It was understanding on-site spectators, what they wanted, TV viewers, volunteers, vendors, club officials, and thinking about some of the operational inconveniences with trying to get hotel rooms for another day and so on. And it really came down to just almost a universal desire that people wanted to see the finish on Sunday, weather permitting. And I think another thing I would tell you with as we went into that, what's the format? Should it be 3-hole, 2-hole, 4-hole, aggregate hole? We knew that we wanted excitement, but at the same time, George, I'm not sure that we were quite at the point of saying we wanted one hole to do it. I think when it was all said and done, we said let's give the 2-hole aggregate a try, and if they're still tied after 2 holes, then we play the hole by hole, or what many people know as sudden death.
Mike, I'm curious, last summer at the U.S. Open, you said, I don't think in the foreseeable future you're going to see a change in the 18-hole playoff. I'm kind of hoping it doesn't happen under my watch. So what changed over the last 8 months to get to where we are today?
George, I remember that comment well. Part of that was just having watched, I think I'm going into my 29th U.S. Open, and I watched for years the championship committee debate this subject on the 18-hole playoff. And I remember thinking, there's enough things in golf going on that there's bigger fish to fry, and I'm not sure that let the next guy do this. But listen, when it all came down to it, we wanted to be really kind of proactive. I think we're very understanding. We have empathy for people that are traditionalists who say, wait, I want that 18-hole playoff on Monday, but at the same time, there were far, far, far more who wanted that playoff if there was a tie to determine the winner Sunday night. So that, at the end of it, I think there was no pressure on us because, George, if you think about it, the last time we had a playoff was that great one in 2008 with Tiger Rocco. No one was really expecting this, and I think we just wanted to be proactive and say, we want to get all 4 of our Open championships with the same format if there's a tie. And the other thing, George, I'll say is that when you start to look at our future U.S. Open venues, our Women's Open venues, I mean, think about Shinnecock Hills this year with that par 3 17th and great finishing hole at 18. Or think about Pebble Beach in 2019 with what's happened at 17, what's happened at 18. You think about Oakmont, the drivable par 4 17th, and that great finishing hole. And we just went through it and said, you know what? It just seems right to do 2 holes, and now seems to be the right time to make the change. And there's no right or wrong to this, but on balance, now is the right time.
Well, definitely a new look going forward. Mike, appreciate you taking the time to share with us what went into the decision.
George, thanks. Nice being with you.
Look at the future venues for the U.S. Open. You wonder which layout will be the first iteration of this 2-hole aggregate playoff. Of course, Shinnecock Hills 2018, followed by Pebble Beach in 2019. Matt Adams, take it away.
George, when you said which one will be the first, earlier today I had a chance to speak with Mike Davis myself, and I asked him, Why now? What caused you to have this reaction? He said, we are overdue for a playoff. He said he actually woke up during the night and said, we need to take action on this right now. Gentlemen, what is your reaction to the action that was taken, Tim Rosafort and Jaime Diaz?
Well, on balance, it's a good thing. I mean, I can't remember an 18-hole playoff that was memorable, except for Tigers, that was because of the narrative of his broken leg. But, you know, I've covered 6 of them. I can't remember anything that, you know, other than let's get to the end here and let's let these last few holes decide the thing, which is basically what they're doing right now. But, you know, there were 36-hole playoffs before that. And, in fact, there was a 72-hole playoff in 1931 where they went 36 holes, and there was a tie, and they came back the next day and played 36 more. George Von Elman and Billy Burke beat them by 1. So it's an extreme thing that has no end, and I think it's good to cut it off and be part of the modern world again. What do you think, Rosie?
I think some of the great patriarchs in USGA history, Frank Hannigan, Joe Dye, P.J. Boatwright, Sandy Tatum, would probably be rolling in their graves right now because they wanted to identify the best golfer by 18-hole playoffs. But if you look at sudden death playoffs at the Masters, for example, I mean, we're just coming off an incredible one, Sergio beating Justin Rose, and I don't think anybody's downgraded that. And you think about the PGA Tour this year, and it's been all about playoffs, all about sudden death playoffs. Mm-hmm. The 6-holer between Day and Noren was fantastic. And actually, it was anticlimactic when it came back on Monday. It was incredible on Sunday night, but it lost a lot of its juice coming back. We're just coming off a great one last night. And so I say that it's about time, quite honestly. We're trying to save a little bit of time off of golf. It goes on too long anyway. It's the most anticlimactic part of the sport I can think of, quite honestly.
Monday's a very expensive day if you stay over. It's just not practical anymore. You know, there used to be no TV in the old days. To keep everybody over, and players have to get places, and people just have busier lives, and it just makes sense. And the idea that you can neutralize luck with more holes, you know, it's a concept that makes some sense, but you have to draw a line. And, you know, you could be leading after 1 hole on a 2-hole playoff and end up losing 2. So, you know, there's just so much fate that's involved in golf. I think trying to manage luck is too hard.
I actually took a look at 2 iconic U.S. Opens under this new standard.
Right.
Francis Ouimet, 1913 against Harry Vardon and Ted Ray. Harry Vardon would have won that U.S. Open over Francis Ouimet. In 1950, Ben Hogan with the famed 1-iron, the high piston photo that gets him into the playoff. He hit it on a Saturday afternoon. The playoff was on Sunday against Lloyd Mangrum and George Fazio. Mangrum would have won that U.S. Open. Those are actually anomalies.
It would have ruined 2 bad movies.
It still would have turned out the way that they did. But I think I'm on the same page with you guys. George?
Matt, we're going to play the what-if game later in the show. We got 5 more instances of that to get to. But here's a nice clean fit now for the 4 majors. The Masters, that straight sudden death playoff. U.S. Open now with this 2-hole format. PGA Championship with 3-hole aggregate. And the oldest of them all, the Open, 4 holes to decide its aggregate playoff. Well, the Walker Cup setting back to the old course at St. Andrews in 2023, nearly 50 years after the biennial matches were last held on the venerable Scottish Links, Sarnay. Making the announcement today, 2 weeks after St. Andrews named host of the Open in 2021. This will mark the 9th time the old course hosts the Walker Cup more than any other venue. First time it's done so since 1975. So, the big events heading to the old course in the near future as we take a look at the Senior Open. July 26th through 29th, then it's, like I mentioned, the Open Championship makes its return there, the Open in 2021. Well, the reigning PGA Tour Player of the Year already picking off his 2nd win this season. Justin Thomas on his Sunday debut at the Honda. This expletive-free, folks. And a look at the comeback of Tiger Woods. He started and finished the week at even par. So why was this a big step in the right direction for the 14-time major champ? Plus, is fan behavior heading out of bounds? We're going to debate that later in the show.
Golf Central is brought to you by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. Why golf later when you can golf now? Instantly book tee times at over 6,000 courses.